Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my Attack on Titan Season 4, Episode 6 video. I got a lot of requests to do Attack on Titan videos for the final season because this is the end. There are only going to be 16 episodes total, so be sure to subscribe to get everything. There were so many WTF moments and a lot of Easter eggs, and they're paying off a lot of long-running plots, explaining a lot of what's really been going on this whole time. Like, a lot of the characters have been misled about what they think is going on, when really the story has been completely different this whole time. We'll do a giveaway for Crunchyroll Premium memberships. All you have to do to enter is just be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment from the episode on the video. Careful for spoilers. If you have not seen the episode, I'm just going to number these as we go along just to stay organized. But Eren, our protagonist since the beginning, now is being portrayed as the villain of the series, in a way, so to speak. He doesn't think of himself as the villain, but he kind of understands what he's doing. He's basically here in Marley, though, to collect more Titan abilities like Pokemon. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch all those Titan powers. The other reason why he's doing this, if it wasn't clear from last week's episode, they kind of imply, but I don't think they explicitly talked about why he was doing all this, is because he's trying to start a war in order to end it faster, and he's also trying to cripple Marley's military structure. It's hard to talk about his true intentions without getting into spoilers for stuff we haven't seen, so if you have read the manga ahead of this, please do not post those spoilers in the comments. You learn a lot more about why Eren came to this decision too. They haven't explained too much of it. You kind of assume what he's thinking in his conversation with Reiner in last week's episode. Like, okay, this is the only way to end all of this suffering, but it's much more complicated than that. He didn't just turn on a dime and decide to do all this by himself. But at the beginning of the episode, they do this big flashback where you find out Willy's plan to bring the Jaegerists in line and keep things from getting out of control. Like, he himself had his own plan as part of this, knowing that he was going to his death. So it wasn't like Eren's actions were a complete surprise. He knew that something was going to happen, and they were trying to spin that to their advantage. He just didn't account for how crazy things were going to get. You also see that they agonize over the inevitable collateral damage in a way that Eren doesn't, at least not verbally. You kind of register it on his face when he's talking to Mikasa later. Like, you can see that he understands the weight of what he's done. There's no coming back from this. But Willy Tybur and Magath just talk it out a little bit more, verbalizing some of their regrets about all this. Like, yes, it is terrible that all the people in the internment camp, the Eldians, will die. They are our people. Remember, Willy Tybur is an Eldian himself, even though in previous episodes, when he was talking to all those assembled nations, he was talking about the Eldians as if they were devils. But the whole idea with this, and they sort of hammer this home with a lot of the other storylines, is that everyone in this conflict will have blood on their hands. No one is free from blame in the greater conflict between Marley and Paradis. If you're a big Rick and Morty fan, they did a version of that storyline during Rick and Morty Season 3 on the Citadel of Ricks, where you have that line, same old, Mortys killing Mortys, where the police Morty winds up killing a whole bunch of other Mortys. It's a war, it's ugly, that's just the way it goes. Then they jump forward in time to the very end of Episode 5 in that same moment as Willy's being killed by Eren, who then begins to fight the Warhammer Titan, revealed to be Willy's younger sister. Previously, they'd kept the inheritor of the Warhammer Titan a secret within their family just to prevent assassination attempts. Like in an earlier episode, he's talking to Magath and says, I bet you wonder where the Warhammer Titan is. Yes, it's definitely somewhere in this house. One of us definitely has it, but he wouldn't reveal who it was. The crowd scrambles in the chaos, but I love the way that the assembled Marleyan leadership, the military leaders there, just sit there, just staring. Even one of them just knows that he's about to die and just takes it calmly like, yep, this is definitely going to happen. I am definitely going to get eaten by this Titan here. Most of the Marleyan warrior candidates themselves are either killed or scattered, but you still have Falco, Gabby, and a couple others that have survived. As Willy's sister activates the Warhammer Titan, you notice how the rest of the Marley military in the area just sort of chill out a little bit, like, oh, finally, we're saved, the Warhammer Titan is here. They will destroy this new Titan, we'll be able to take the powers of the founding Titan. Because all the stories they've been told about the Warhammer Titan going back to the Great Titan War 100 years ago make it seem like the Warhammer Titan is invincible, the Tyburs are invincible, because they've never actually seen it in a real battle before. But the problem that a lot of you probably realized before this is that his sister, who's never actually really used the Warhammer Titan, is extremely inexperienced. She doesn't know how to wield it to its full abilities. And Eren has long since mastered all of the abilities of the Attack Titan, as well as more advanced Titan abilities like Hardening. So even though she's able to get in some really good blows with the Warhammer Titan's basic powers, she is completely outmatched in this fight. Pieck and Marcel are able to escape that pit that Yelena dumped them into when Pieck reveals that she didn't lose it when she saw her military comrades from the Panzer unit earlier. She was secretly orchestrating a plan to have them come rescue her because she suspected Yelena this whole time. I suspected Beardy this whole time. Then as they prepare to shift into their Titans, Pieck flips out at the revelation that the forces of Paradis have also infiltrated Marley and are attacking, as if Eren's Titan weren't enough for them to deal with. They only thought that there was a Titan to deal with. They didn't know this was going to be a full-scale attack. And pretty much all of Marley is unprepared for this because it's largely an inside job, like Willie Tybur was talking about earlier. We get to see the Warhammer Titan's namesake ability as it fashions a giant Warhammer, smashing Eren in the chest, then creates a field of spikes all around him. And as Eren is coming under fire from all over the place, it's really easy to see who's more advanced in situations like this with their Titan abilities just based on how they react to stuff like this. When it gets real crazy, notice how Eren knows to protect his nape. A new Titan inheritor wouldn't know to do that. But Magath is hoping that the Warhammer Titan is going to be able to eat Eren's Titan to gain the power of the Founding Titan. But even though she's able to lop off his head with a crushing blow from her hammer, Eren, advanced Titan user, survives. No big surprise there. And when she asks if he has any last words, he reveals the true extent of their orchestrated attack on Marley, calling Mikasa and the others into action. The combined forces of the Survey Corps attack the Warhammer with their newly upgraded 3D maneuvering gear and the Thunder Spears, technology they developed from the more advanced 3D gear that the Eldian military interior police have been creating for the sole purpose of fighting the Survey Corps. They've had the Thunder Spears for a little while now because they used them against Reiner's Armor Titan a while ago, but the bigger upgrades are integrating that with the special new 3D maneuvering gear. The Thunder Spears are basically just extra hardcore anti-Titan weapons for piercing hardened Titan skins like the Warhammer Titan and the Armor Titan possess. I love the way that Mikasa pauses mid-carnage to tell Eren to come home, because he's been doing this secret Marley plan for years at this point, but as he explained to Falco in last week's episode, he'd been using him to pass them messages this whole time, so it's not like he's been completely out of communication with all of his friends this whole time. It's just that they haven't actually seen him in a long, long time. Marley does their best to mobilize all remaining forces in the area, everywhere from around, even in the bay, all their ships. There'll be some special surprises there in next week's episode, no spoilers if you've read the manga. Still though, they're taken completely by surprise, and the Survey Corps members argue about collateral damage too, hurting innocent people, the same conversation that Willie Tybur was having earlier in the episode before this big attack happened. But you notice that on both sides, some feel like everyone deserves it that they're hurting, like the Marley people deserve everything that's happening to them, even though we're technically killing innocent people. They all deserve what happens to them. We need a devil like Eren right now. I love the way they refer to Eren as a devil. Like, everyone thinks that the Eldians are devils, even the other Eldians. It's more that idea that Eren has become the villain of the story, at least for right now. And even though Mikasa will follow Eren anywhere, even into death, she also tries to get him to realize what he's done. And even though he doesn't argue with her or try to deny anything that she's saying, that sad look on his face that he gives her makes it seem like he understands what he's done, but still thinks that this is the only way. I'll never be able to undo this or come back from this, but this is the only way. Then we jump back to Gabi, who's just gone completely off the rails with her desire for revenge. She's able to pursue a few Survey Corps members, including Sasha, so she's gonna have blood on her hands pretty soon too. The whole thing that Falco was trying to prevent by beating her in their test to take her out of the running for inheriting a Titan so that she wouldn't have to go to war on Paradis. She'd be able to have this happy, normal life. This whole quest for revenge is going to be a big part of Gabi's character arc going forward with Falco. Right now, she's dead set against the Paradis Eldians being devils. Don't talk to them, don't be friends with them, kill them all every chance you get. But they eventually raise the question, what about the normal everyday Eldians living on Paradis? Are they devils too, the ones who never wielded a Titan, the ones who are just calmly trying to lead normal lives? She's an Eldian just like them. And you remember that Falco sort of had this realization on his face when he was there for Eren and Reiner's conversation about how they're both the same. And Eren no longer harbors any resentment against Reiner. He doesn't hate him anymore for his actions as the Armored Titan. No longer has any real desire to destroy him, and Reiner is also regretting a lot of the things that he did as the Armored Titan as well. Even though things got really crazy at the end of last week's episode when Eren transformed, they effectively put aside their differences. But Gabi wasn't there like Falco, so she hasn't come to that realization. You notice that the Warhammer Titan is still using pretty rudimentary weapons against Mikasa, who's making pretty quick work of it with her new 3D gear and the Thunder Spears. And Levi was already amazing with the 3D gear before they got their big upgrades, so he wrecks in this episode, but he's even better in next week's episode. And Eren is able to figure out the powers of the Warhammer Titan on the fly, like he immediately senses what's really going on. Wait a minute, the reason why it was created from the ground up is because the person is not inside the Titan, it's being remote piloted. So he forms his new Attack Titan body and digs the control pod, which is a giant crystal, just like Annie's crystal, out of the ground. But when he tries to eat the pod, right before he can, he's attacked by Marcel using his Jaw Titan, who himself is also relatively inexperienced with his Titan abilities. He flips when he's not able to bite right through Eren's shoulder, and the reason he's not able to do that is because Eren mastered the hardening ability, using it to fortify his Attack Titan skin. Now, it's not as strong as the Warhammer Titan skin or Reiner's Armor Titan plating, but it's still way stronger than it would normally be. They end on the cliffhanger there, and if you have read the manga, please don't post spoilers for what happens next, but you are all in for something really special next week. One of the really cool things that you see them pay off in this episode, and obviously continue forward in next week's episode, is really advanced and creative use of Titan powers. So when the series first started, it was just really cool that Eren could turn into a Titan, he could punch things really hard, but then through the course of the series, you learn about the advanced Titan abilities, about the many, many different abilities that they all possess. Some of them are unique, some of them have the same powers. For instance, the Attack Titan's ability to inherit memories from future inheritors of the Titan, unlike the other versions of the Titans which can only inherit the memories of previous wielders. But we're in the middle of this fight here where you have two really inexperienced Titans, the Warhammer Titan and the Jaw Titan, going up against Eren, who's mastered all of the powers of the Attack Titan, which makes him formidable enough by itself. But on top of that, he's also been able to use some of the powers of the Founding Titan. Remember, you can only unlock the true abilities or use the true abilities of the Founding Titan if you're a member of the royal family, you have royal blood in you, or if you're touching someone with royal blood. We'll get into that with some of the future episodes with Historia because she has royal blood in her, and Zeke because he also has royal blood in him. Also, we didn't see Zeke at all in this episode, but you notice he's in the teaser for next week's episode, so he'll be back and they'll explain more of his role in this giant attack here. And Reiner was absent in this week's episode, last seen diving to protect Falco from Eren's transformation, so he'll also be back in next week's episode, along with Falco. But it's only going to get crazier and crazier. I'm loving Season 4 so far. I feel like this is going to be a masterpiece of a season. I'm really hopeful that they're able to end this really well, even though there's only 16 episodes, which is kind of a bummer. You would hope that they would do like 20 plus episodes because there's so much more plot for them to get through. We're not even close to catching up with the manga right now. And the manga is supposed to be ending in April if you didn't see the announcements, so depending on whether or not they take any breaks between episodes in the future, we might wind up getting the very last episode in the very last issue of the manga around the same time, which would help prevent some spoilers. But if you have any big questions or are there any big Easter eggs during the episode that I didn't mention in the video, just write them below in the comments. My episode 7 video will post next week. You can click here for my Attack on Titan Season 4 trailer video where I talk about some of the other Easter eggs that haven't actually come up yet. And you can click here for those brand new Marvel WandaVision episodes. Marvel finally back in 2021 after taking an entire year off. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video.